Okay, this week talking about intention. And I think attention is really important. So it is the first I within the PIPS framework for success that you hear me talk about, that you will see me use with clients. And the intention is really important. We need to make sure that what we do is aligned with who we are. And it's one of the great things that we get to be able to do when we run our own business is we get control over those decisions. But we need to make sure that we are conscious of those decisions and we are intentional with those decisions as well. So even when we're employed, we get that choice. We get that choice over who we work for and the type of work that we do. It's more of an influence than something that we can control, but it is part of that decision making process. And the more conscious we are of making intentional, purposeful decisions, the more aligned we become with who we are, who we have been, who we are becoming, and that aspirational identity of what we want for ourselves in the future. So, when we talk about intention, we need to know our why before we say yes to anything. So, before we're committing to a task or we're committing to an activity or a goal, we need to ask ourselves how this fits in with that bigger picture. Is this keeping us on the path that we are heading in? Is it taking us to that destination that we have set? Does it move us closer to the life or the business that we actually want? Because it can be really easy. I say to people all the time, just because you can doesn't mean you have to. And I think something that I certainly pick up with people who are high achievers, with people who are confident in their ability, it's very easy for them to say yes because they know they can, because they know it's something that they can do. It's a conversation I have with leaders all the time because people will say, oh, it's just easier for me to do it than it is for me to have that conversation and refer them to somebody else or to delegate it. So just because we can doesn't mean we have to. So we need to be really intentional with our time. We need to be intentional with our energy. So we need to make sure before we say yes, what are we saying yes to and why are we saying yes? For what purpose? With what intention? We need to remind ourselves that we don't have to say yes to everything. And it doesn't need to be a straight out no. It can just be a no, not me, no, not now, no, not like that. But we need to make sure that when we're making a really clear yes response, that it's intentional and with purpose, that we know that we are saying yes for the right reasons. And the reasons will often be the ones that help us to move us forward to the life that we want or the business that we're building or the career journey that we are on. So when we take action without intention, what does this look like? This is the busy without being productive. This is the very busy day where we've done lots of stuff, but not actually anything that has helped us to develop or helped us to make progress. And these are the most frustrating days because we've spent a lot of time doing and we've not actually gone anywhere. We've not actually moved forward. So it's really important that when we take action, it is intentional and it is purposeful so that we are productive, we are effective, and we are efficient. So this is something that I've been having conversations with this week with those that have joined on the Elevate Efficiency Blueprint. We are looking at where they're spending their time, what is helping them to progress, what's helping them to move forward, and what actually is wasting time, what's draining their time and their energy that isn't actually helping. And these are questions that you can ask yourself too. So where is your action without intention? How can you be more intentional and how can you be more purposeful when you're making those decisions so that the actions that you take move you forward? Okay, the second one is to check in with your values. Now, you might be really clear on what your core values are. You might have them written down. Certainly, a lot of people that have worked with me and done exercises with me to work out what their values are will have them somewhere clear. Mine are right here on the wall. They are there as a constant reminder to me that I want to make sure that I live in alignment with those values, with my principles, with the things that I deem to be important in life, the things that I judge to be a standard that I want to live by. It's my ethics, my philosophies, my principles, and they're very individual to me, but they are also important to me. And it's really important that we are living in alignment with our values and also that we are working in alignment with our values. So thinking about what's important to you right now, what are your core values, but also what are the higher values for you right now? So we'll have our core values, we'll have our set of values, but within that there's going to be a hierarchy, and sometimes the values that we have will shift and the hierarchy will change. So we need to be really clear on what is important to us right now, and then we need to make sure that the values are aligned in the actions that we take. So we need to make sure that the actions reflect our values, they align with our values, that they're consistent. So even then, when our motivation dips, we're able to be consistent, we're able to be disciplined. And when we do show up, when we do take action, it feels good. It feels aligned with what's important for us. So we want to make sure that the purpose and intention is right, that we're saying yes to the right things, and also that it aligns with our values. Now, one of the things that I talk about with clients is the values triangle. And where possible, we want to really make sure that the decisions that we make and the actions that we take nicely align with the top three values that we have. It's not always going to be possible. Life doesn't always work like that, but really they need to be aligned with two out of the three. And where we can make adjustments to bring more things into alignment, the more we feel that sense of fulfillment around the actions that we take. So if you're feeling right now that you're doing all of the things and it's just not sitting right with you, have a look at your values, have a look at what's important to you right now, and ask that question around whether or not your actions are reflected in your values, and whether or not you feel like over the course of a week, are you living in alignment with your values, your principles, your standards of behavior, and what you deem to be important in life, because it's really, really important. So the third thing that I wanted to talk through is around matching your goals for your season of where you are right now. So not every goal is for right now. And again, something else that I hear people talk through, again, especially with people who are high achievers, they want to do everything now. And I don't have a problem with wanting to do everything. In fact, it's one of the philosophies that I talk about, is that you don't have to choose. You can do all of the things. There is the power in the and, rather than having to choose and decide whether you do this or that. The difference is deciding what's important to you right now in terms of where your energy goes. So you can not, you can have a pot of 100% of energy, but you can put that 100% into one thing, or you can divide that 100% into several things. But sometimes something needs to take a back seat so that you can reinvest that time, the energy, the effort into what is most important right now. So one of the things that I talk about with clients when we're talking about goals is, do you want incremental gains? So do you want to work on all of your goals at the same time so that you're making those incremental gains, that you're making progress across all of your goals at the same time? Or do you want to rotate them? So perhaps in 1 month, you put lots of energy and effort and enthusiasm into one area, and the others take a back seat. And then the next month, you reinvest that and you focus in on something else. So you can have incremental or you can have rotational. And not every goal is for now. Sometimes we can reinvest that effort and energy into something, and something else can take a back seat. Or we kind of drip feed for one, but we pour into another. So it's okay. You don't have to go bang out at everything all of the time. And actually, most people in my experience and my own experience, but also experience with clients, those who were able to make the progression across lots of different areas are smart with where they're putting their time and their energy. And they will either rotate their goals or they will incrementally progress their goals. So it's really important for you to make that as a conscious decision. Make it by design, not by default. Okay, so naturally there will be things that we want to put more energy and attention into, and we can do that in a disciplined way, in a consistent way. So we can make a conscious decision of this is what's going to get my time and energy at the moment, or we can do it by default. So when we do it by default, it's quite often the things that appeal to us, or the things that we can cross off nice and easily. And that becomes less intentional, it becomes less conscious, and that doesn't always have the same results that we might be wanting. So we need to again, going back to that first point, we need to make sure it's intentional. We need to make sure it's purposeful. That helps us to stay disciplined and consistent with the things that align to our values and match the goals that are most important to us right now. So number 4 is to define your success on your terms. Again, this makes it very intentional. So what does success look like for you, where you are at right now? So we get all of these people. Social media is going to show us all of these people who are giving us the highlighted version of their life. We all do it. That's what we do. We give a sense of reality, but ultimately we are choosing what we choose to share. We're not sharing 100% all of the time. We are choosing what we choose to share. Some people are more vulnerable, more open, and share a little bit more, and some people don't. And that's okay, because we get to make that choice within social media. But it does mean that we are seeing a lot more than we would have seen, say, 20 years ago. We would have only have seen that top tier of successful people who had books or films or stories to tell or were in the mainstream media. Now we get to see the successes of our peers. We get to see the success of lots of different people in lots of different industries and lots of different fields. So we have to choose what success looks like for us, where we are right now. And that will change as time goes on. I've shared quite openly that I would like to be working part-time hours when I'm 50. I want to be able to choose the work that I do. I want to be able to, it's not about slowing down. It's just about having that option to be able to travel more. If my son has a family, I want the option to be able to be invested and hands-on to be able to support them if it's wanted. I want to be able to have less working hours. I want to be able to choose the work that I do. And that's within the next 5 years. So for me to be able to do that, I need to put something in place right now. I need to build, I need to grow. So that means for me right now, I am investing more time, more energy in work. It's not stopping me from doing anything that I want to do because I'm creating that balance. I'm creating it by design. But it does mean that right now I'm working more than I would like to work in 5 years' time, but I'm investing in upfront so that I can reap the rewards of that further on down the line. So success for me right now is going to look different to what I'm aiming for success to look like in 5 years' time. So you will have different phases in your life where different things are going on, and that will adjust and adapt what success looks like for you. It's not going to be what other people tell you that it should be or what it could be. How often do we find, especially in careers, people tell us, oh, you're really good at that, so you should be doing this. If you're really good at this, then this is the next step for you. But you get to decide what that next step is, but you need to decide what the success looks like for you now and what success looks like next, so that you know what you're working towards now and where you're working towards in the future. You get to design that. It's designed by you, determined by you, and created by you, because you're the one that's going to have to make it happen. And finally, I want you to use intention to filter out distraction. So when you're clear on your intention, the decisions get so much easier. And a lot of people talk to me about decision fatigue. I had a conversation on LinkedIn last week where I was talking about decision making and decision fatigue. And somebody shared with me that, in one of their previous leadership roles, they made so many decisions during the day that by the time they got home from work, they didn't even have the energy to make the decision about what to eat. So we know that decision fatigue is very, very real. And we know that we make better decisions from a place of logic and rationale rather than making decisions from an emotional place. So we want to make sure that we're making the decisions that are in line with our intention. And that is going to naturally help us to filter out any distractions because we're making those decisions to take action that supports where we're going. So they're much more conscious decisions, much more intentional decisions, which means then the things that might be shiny, that they might seem quite exciting, but when our eyes are on the prize of where we've decided is important to us, it gets a little less shiny and a little less distracting. So we want to make sure that the decisions that we make are intentional, are purposeful, so that it supports where we're going and doesn't distract us or steal our energy from what we do want to be investing in. So those are my 5 tips this week around intention. So my question to leave you with this week is, what are you saying yes to? And does it align with what truly matters? That's the question that I want you to take away and I want you to answer this week. What are you saying yes to? And does it align with what truly matters to you? I'd love to hear from you. Feel free to pop your comments below and share with me what your thoughts are. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask. I will keep my eye on the comments and come back and answer them. And if I can help in any way, let me know. If you want to see more about the PIPS framework, I will put the link in for the free ebook into the comment section so that you can download it. And next week, we will be back with the second I from the PIPS framework, and we will be talking about identity. So I will see you then. Have a good rest of the week, and I'll speak to you very soon.